Science has always imbibed its elements not only from the usual suspects like scientists and engineers, but has also thrived well on the imaginations of artists alike. The pack of physicists have painted the truth to it, but many times the original landscape of science was assimilated by creativity. Creativity throbbed on the backs of wonderful fictional ideas and art that was born by several crazies who dared to go beyond what religion and communities comprehended as even sacrilege. Be it the remote global live visuals and information that we get fed from, or the instantaneous communications with our near and dear ones made possible in these modern days, the original seeds were sown a long time ago by those great literary and dramatic folks who believed this could trigger the necessary spark in those minds who went on to execute those dreams into realities. Today, let us check out 12 beautiful ideas of fiction that were mesmerizingly jeweled by some great movie makers from Russia, some of them which also might have the potential to become realities in the future. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Solaris, 1972. Chris Kelvin, a renowned psychologist, played by Donatas Baniois, is supposed to fly up to an old and out-of-the-world interstellar space station that is orbiting a mysterious planet, Solaris. The psychologist is summoned since the crew at the space station have repeatedly reported strange sightings and happenings on the space station from the time the craft has been near the planet. Upon his arrival, Chris is shocked to learn that his friend Dr. Gabarian has died from suicide, and the remaining two associates, Snout and Sartorius, have become strangely lousy. Chris also starts seeing his dead wife Hari, who interacts with him without any knowledge about how she got there and with no memories of her death. The rest of the movie circumvents the time that Chris spends on the spacecraft and shows how he finds out that Solaris is more than just a planet, as it seems to actively engage with the crew by perforating through their past memories. The fiction in the movie tends to take both the scientific spacey way and a psychological one, as the story deals with the past lives of the characters and how the time away from home might have impacted them. Chris, Snout, and Sartorius all have their own dreaded stories to tell, from the time they tried blasting the swirling ocean on Solaris with strong X-rays as a part of their scientific experiments. The futuristic intergalactic journey at light speed to study distant planets is no longer a dream in the movie, as Chris gets onto the space station in no time. Mankind is able to sustain and survive the toughest terrains of a vacuumatic space with relative ease, and that too across decades with abundant food, water, air, and fuel. Reviews have described the legendary Andrei Tarkovsky's movie as a cult classic, as he plays around psychology and the cosmos with a penchant. Staying true to Tarkovsky's stronghold, the screenplay cleverly and also emotionally passes a subtle undercurrent of philosophy and tries to magnify the bigger truths of life, realities, and an altercation between mankind and nature. The movie has a lot of curiosity and suspense to offer and carefully treads the path of complicated relationship. Dead Man's Letters, 1986. Konstantin Lopushansky brings out a grimly apocalyptic world in this classic. The director looks at a world that has fallen in the wake of nuclear or chemical warfare. As the lead in the movie, old Professor Larson, portrayed by Roland Bekoff, is living in the basement of a destroyed museum along with his sick wife in search of his lost son. The professor also has a lot of allies with a whole group of survivors, men, women, and children sharing the basement as their home. The air is polluted with chemicals, as we see gas masks used by characters to come out of their hiding, and the ensuing war still kills civilians caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. The movie unravels as a narration of old Professor Larson to his lost son in the form of letters he is compiling in the hope that his son might be alive, and tragically touches the father's sentiment to talk to his son about his experiences and what he could learn from them. The movie gives us a glimpse of a war-ridden world and how it robbed people of their innocent lives. The fiction has gone on to touch the survivors' lives in bunkers and basements of a torn-down city, like the way people cycle to generate their own electricity or the burial of the dead within the basements. Critics flag Lopushansky's tragedy as a sentimental traverse into the misfortunistic future of mankind, which has every potential to transcend into reality. Watch this gem for its delicate handling of a good father's never-ending spirit and effort to reach out to his lost son to give him his comprehension of this world and truth as he sees it. Sputnik, 2020. Oksana Akinshina, essaying the role of a daring neurophysiologist, Tatiana Yuryevna Klimova, is taken in to evaluate a lone survivor astronaut, Konstantin, played by Pyotr Fyodorov, when he is detained after a dangerous crash landing of their space shuttle, killing his co-cosmonaut. The mystery unfolds eerily as it's found that there is an alien creature that has incorporated itself into Konstantin's body and has become a parasite. The movie takes surprising and tantalizing turns as Tatiana tries to interact with the creature as it unmounts Konstantin's body every night. The rest of the movie aims to lead us to Tatiana's realization of how the military forces are trying to misuse Konstantin's torment and how she helps him in escaping the facility to free himself from the creature and meet his son. The story is based on an alien theme and also moves onto the borders of love, intimacy, and a father-son relationship. The fiction highlights the symbiosis between Konstantin and the alien and how it helps them stay stronger and healthier. Some of the fictional scary scenes involve the mysterious creature propelling itself out of Konstantin's body every night to feed on cortisol, a hormone released by the human brain when encountered with stiff fear. The scene of Tatiana controlling the creature by not submitting to the fear, thereby pruning the chances of the creature killing her, is chilling. Reviews call out Sputnik to be a good alien movie, which was a masterclass even though it was directed by a first-timer, Igor Abramenko. This spine freezer is for bravehearts. Watch it for tip-of-the-toe storytelling and a marvelous Oksana Akinshina. Stalker, 1979. Once again, Andrei Tarkovsky's epitome in visually stimulating audiences is evident here with this tale. A writer, played by Anatoly Solonitsyn, and a professor, portrayed by Nikolai Grinko, are taken on an adventurous but also deadly journey by a stalker, essayed by Alexander Kaidanovsky. The trip is to a mysterious area called the Zone, and to one of its most interesting places called Room, where wishes with true intentions are granted by an unknown power. The area is cordoned off by the authorities and the military since it's supposed to be frequented by mysterious activities where the normally understood scientific theories are faltering. The tale takes the audience along with the three characters as they strive through the strange conundrum of a setting where roots can neither be direct nor be retracted. The story also takes an interesting turn as the true objectives of the protagonists are disentangled, one even churning out a bomb to destroy the Zone forever. The theme gets into the deeper corners of each of the characters, as all of them have their nuances and inner vulnerabilities to deal with. Fiction here lies in the enigma of the Zone, where each step of the three people in it can lead to doom. The playwright is also clever, as we are led to a compelling question of whether it was actually a work of fiction or psychology. Reviewers and critics are spellbound by Tarkovsky's freehand to dilate the inner psyche of humans and explore the deeds and greeds that lie within an uber-cool spray of science fiction. This is a must-watch, given the beautiful cinematography, portrayals, and rendering that the director and his crew give us with a love for art.
This world was made of memories. Then how did they get here?
Coma, 2019. This movie explores that presumed wimpy space of the partially conscious human mind in a dire consequence called a coma. Nikita Argunov takes us through an architect, Victor, played by Rinal Mukamyatov's induced coma-laden mind, which lingers and mixes up his creative spaces, memories, and people spilling over from his real life. Victor meets up with mysterious characters in his semi-conscious world who are trying to sew up their common memory spaces in their coma states. The Comayad warriors are also trying to protect themselves from oily monsters who are revealed to be their own residual forms from the real world who are being treated to be saved. The whole plot revolves around one man, Jan, played by Konstantin Lavranenko, who is spearheading a horrific project to build a virtual world out of people forcefully induced into coma. Jan has carefully chosen his guinea pigs, who are either prosecuted deep-rooted criminals or depressed people on the brink of losing their lives. The movie hinges on a purely fictional storyline peppered with thrilling action scenes that give vital adrenaline boosts. Coma masters the audience by prodding them into distinct possibilities of a half-stimulated human mind which is lost amidst the plethora of memories, pain, and people it might have encountered in a fully awake state, and how it tries to muster up the thoughts by enticing various facets of them together in an inexplicable way. The scenes where Victor encounters people with fragmented buildings and even people sensitizes his imperfect landing in a coma, yet to recover his journey through this other world. Critics call the movie a masterpiece with a different take on the human mind and how bent and spaced our thoughts can be. The tale gingers on the fact that love and hate may not be as deep as we think they are in our deeper conscience, for the same set of people whom we deal with in our regular lives.
For the first time in the history of mankind, a man has walked in our...
Spacewalk 2017. This human triumph of a historical epic towers on the attempt of the Soviet Union to beat their Western counterparts to become the first men in space. The story follows the history of two heroic Soviet cosmonauts, Alexei Leonov, portrayed by Yevgeny Mironov, and Pavel Belyaev, essayed by Konstantin Kabensky. The opening enthralls as a daring Leonov drops his plane hundreds of feet with a shut engine as part of an experiment and saves it too with a successful landing. The drama unfolds with Leonov and Belyaev partnering for the Soviets' first ever manned mission to space despite the fundamental differences in their approaches. Audiences are dished out with a thrilling ride to space on Voskhod 2 with the two cosmonauts as they try a spacewalk maneuver too as a part of the pre-planned mission. The expedition never seems easy, as both Mironov and Belyaev experience several unforeseen circumstances, and the film takes us through those anxious, breathtaking moments when the ground staff almost conclude that they are at a dreaded end. The story goes on the events of the past and tries to capture the limitations, both technical and natural, with which the entire episode could have been played out to still culminate in success. The sequences like a faulty oxygen leak detection with a potential threat to the astronauts dying with oxygen toxicity could be fictitious, and the movie overall, as some put it, is 70% authentic. Critics played Jingle Bells for the movie as an almost genuine replay of the mega success of the Soviet Union during this event. The movie plays up the grittiness of mankind and the survival instincts in fatal situations. The Blackout 2019. Igor Baranov weaves an alien invasion tale to perfection here. Yura, played by Pyotr Fyodorov, Mayor Dalmatov, played by Konstantin Lavronenko, Oleg from Alexei Chadov, and Alina, essayed by the lovely Lukeria Ilyashenko, are thrust into a warhold situation. Except for a limited central zone of Moscow, along with some patches of Belarus, Ukraine, and Finland, the rest of our beloved world is dismissed into darkness in an apocalyptic situation by a group of infighting super aliens, Ra and Ide. Yura, Dolmatov, Oleg, and Alina, accompanied by a press reporter, Olya, played by Svetlana Ivanova, together with a battalion of army, dare to go into the dark, dead world to find out the truth, where they are attacked by thousands of fellow humans who are all mind-controlled by the evil alien Ra. The army men are able to eliminate a lot, but are equally harmed and killed by the humongous mob. The movie goes through the group's adventures in trying to restore normalcy to Earth from the evil intentions of the aliens. The prophecy of the super alien Ide, when he highlights the fact that humans were weaker incarnations of themselves, which they did as a part of their plan to destroy the otherwise wonderful planet of Earth, beats haunting drums at our current real-life situation. The scary-looking Ide and Ra, their supernatural abilities, and their story of interstellar travel to find Earth, the pre-planned alternative to their dying planet, look feasible and interesting. Blackout, even though it makes the Earth plunge into darkness, tries to lighten up our thoughts as it describes mankind as the disease that the super aliens invented to prepare for a planet's destruction. Watch it with some compassion. Hardcore Henry, 2015. Elia Neischuler deduces a rocker of a movie with this video gaming-themed narration. He himself portrays the role of Henry, a humanoid resurrected by a group of scientists. The story begins straight into an action cauldron with Henry escaping with his presumed wife Estelle, essayed by Haley Bennett, from an evil and super powerful Akan, played by Danila Kozlovsky. The action follows Henry as he tries to escape his assailants, accompanied by his friend Jimmy, portrayed by Sharlto Copley. The movie embarks on Henry's truth-seeking journey and culminates in a gory unraveling of his origins and an ultimate face-off with his nemesis, Akan. The film turns into gore play with some of the best action scenes, like Henry's first encounter with Akan's security, which gets as realistic and as bloody as it can get. Neischuler also adds spice to the content with some interesting fiction of a quadriplegic scientist, Jimmy, remotely controlling several of his clones to help Henry. The gaming concept with guns rattled and picked, the batteries of the humanoid Henry depleting, and the way he digs out the heart-concealed power banks from other humanoids to replenish himself are awesome. The comic relief that Jimmy provides with his unending variety of characterized clones and tantalizing music helps the audience relish this one-of-its-kind cinematic experience. Hardcore Henry stands up to its name and delivers a perfect flick. Attraction, 2017. The plot here tries to take out an alternative route by means of an intergalactic love that blossoms amidst mankind versus alien warfare. Fyodor Bondarchuk spearheads this one with the action unfolding quickly in the very first few minutes of this visual pleasure. An alien spaceship crash lands in Moscow amidst a meteor shower. Credits to the Russian military, who mistake it as a NATO aircraft. Yulia, played by Irina Starshenbaum, happens to be dating the local Mr. Handsome Tyoma, essayed by Alexander Petrov, who rescues Yulia during the crash landing of the alien spacecraft. The story takes a dramatic turn as Yulia and Tyoma, along with their friends, try to explore the otherworldly visitors themselves within the military cordoned area, thereby injuring the human-like alien Hakan, portrayed by Rinal Mukamitov in his armor. Yulia rescues Hakan away from the eyes of her friends and gradually develops a bond with him that becomes mutual. The story leads on to a fresh take on an interspecies relationship and how eerily it gets similar to complications even within mankind for interracial or interreligious ones. The film finally climaxes into an all-out man versus alien tussle and gives us glimpses of how it could have ended better for both sides. The eyeball-designed alien spaceship and the armor are all designed carefully with a lot of obvious thought going into the details. The concept is kept simple, even when the vivid graphic special effects impress one and all with its large canvas of hi-fi artifacts. Reviewers applaud Attraction as a rare find among the usual stuff that's seen in alien movies with an emphasis on conflicts. Attraction, as the name says, does ample justice to its name and has strong protagonists who nurture their roles to perfection. Invasion, 2020. 3 years after its first installment, Attraction, explained here in the previous segment, made a pulsating box office hit, Fyodor Bondarchuk brought in his second piece with the same characters. Irina Starshenbaum, Alexander Petrov, Rinal Mukamitov, and many others reprised their roles from the first movie. This time, he chisels a chronicle in which Yulia sustains her super abilities that she has got from her intimacy with the alien Hakan. The administration tries to use the special potentials of Yulia to the country's advantage by trying to replicate them. Meanwhile, we also get the doomed news that the aliens who were thought to have abandoned Earth in the previous installment never actually left and have now estimated mankind to be a serious threat to other interstellar civilizations. The ensuing muscle tussle between the two species enters this sequel with phenomenal visual effects, which make it worthy of the luminescence in the first step. The fine-tuning and better granularity of the spacecraft features, as compared to the prequel, are great to watch for improvisations. The actors have grown into the grooves of their character better and give a more mature performance. Critics and reviewers rate this installment highly due to its high-definition special effects, using the water dome for destruction. Despite the fact that love takes a back seat, unlike the first version, Invasion has all the elements to make it a thrilling sci-fi bread with thrilling special effects spread onto it. Generation P, 2011. Victor Ginsburg adapted a novel with the same name written by Victor Pelevin to the big screen here. Babelian Tatarsky, essayed by Vladimir Yepifantsov, is a young hipster who is lured to transform into an advertiser and begins uncovering the truth about Russian communism, Western culture, and the impacts of these topics on young Russian communities. Babelian, during a heart-to-heart conversation with his Buddhist follower friend, consumes an herby tea with mushrooms and starts hallucinating about vivid topics. During the course of this unraveling of his internal self, Babelian also starts realizing that the advertising slogans he is theorizing for Russian customized Western goods are no longer lucrative and pleasing for him within. The movie sticks to its linen of distorted representation of Babelian's emotions and imaginations, thereby bordering German parallelism to a certain extent. Along with fiction, the film also falls back on psychology and mystery, which holds us to our seats amid prophecies. The virtual world that Babelian creates with a fictional president gives us goosebumps in this modern world where we hear about metaverses and crypto. The movie has been globally acclaimed to be a critic's favorite, with subtle and parallel social themes running around without barricading the entertainment. This one is a must-see due to its universal theme and clever screenplay as we try to understand what is real and what is not, with Babelian's abnormal intake of LSD and other drugs making him deluded. Hard to Be a God, 2013. Directed by Alexei German, this is the second movie adaptation of a book by the same name written by the Strugatsky brothers. Set in a city called Arkonnar on a distant and remote planet away from Earth, the communities there are in the Middle Ages, approximately 800 years behind the human advancements on Earth. 30-odd inhabitants from Earth reside on the planet of Arkonnar, and without any intervention, study the community's progress in science and technology, thereby protecting the primary scholars and intellects in that alien society. Don Rumata, essayed by Leonid Yarmolnik, is the earthly leader on the planet who addresses several issues like God due to the advanced weapons and tactics that he uses. The movie takes interesting twists as Don Reba, played by Alexander Chutka, the alien leader at Arkonnar, arrests Don Rumata to verify the authenticity of Rumata's godliness. The very idea of a powerful advanced species up with a weaker one to understand progress and allow the natural cycle to pass by questions our very own folklore of supernatural beings amongst us right from the beginning of time. The space travels in a short time indicates a highly fictitious society that can cross the natural barriers of light speeds and others. Reviewers go all praises at this classic as one movie that can be perceived in multiple ways to also showcase a backcurrent of evolving socialism and the natural cycle it must go through for societies to learn from their mistakes. Hard to Be God is not to be missed due to its treatment of mankind as a stronger species, whereas all others shovel up a flea pit for us to prove it again and again against a supernatural one. Marvelous verdict. All of the above 12 Russian films fare very well when it comes to the theme of science fiction. Each of them supports the genre with a distinct storytelling, be it the psychologically interacting planet in Solaris, or the alien love in Attraction, or even the self-exploring humanoids of Hardcore Henry. All of them speak about futuristic things on Earth, outside Earth, and even within us. The storytelling takes up a lucid pattern, like in Sputnik for the alien symbiosis, or even an obscure one, like in Generation P, where one tries to figure out whether it was a hallucination or a true meeting with the goddess. The engrossing tales also let us sit back in awe, as many would have surprisingly predicted the current times at old times with sufficient ease, like the cyber limbs of Hardcore Harry or the virtual world in Generation P. The science fiction of a certain era might not remain so in some years or decades or centuries when they are realized and executed, and these concepts may not entertain the public anymore, to whom it might then be a common commodity. As mankind evolves along with advancements in science and technology, newer horizons will beckon us to tell more exciting and refreshing stories. So our verdict will be, every gem in the above list, apart from the buzzing gadgets and ultra science fiction, still tries to guzzle down the delicate but equally complicated relationships of mankind with the right proportions of salt and pepper, which makes them even more entertaining and inspiring to watch. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.